The reality is, if any elite boxer decided to fight an elite Muay Thai fighter with Muay Thai rules, you have a couple seconds to close the distance, Mike Tyson style, and put that dude away.
Otherwise, you're getting your leg blasted.
You're getting your leg blasted.
Yellow. It's a pretty understood consensus that if a boxer were to enter a kickboxing match, he would have a massive disadvantage. This should be intuitive. Obviously, when the rules are different, the styles that make the most of the rules will on average do much better than the ones that do not. It's common sense really, but when it comes to prime Mike Tyson, Kevin Rooney and Cus D'Amato by his side, just envisioning the tier of havoc he would wreak, instantly, he throws a wrench in what we think we know.
Mike Tyson can always close that distance, though. You never know.
Well, did you see when Mike Tyson and Jon Jones was messing about? Like, play sort of sparring thing. And you could see the right hands go boom, and you could see where he do it. And then Jon Jones like, whoa, yeah.
But then also, that's a 50-year-old Mike Tyson. Yeah. Like, what if someone was like an elite kickboxer? Would you be able to hold that guy off? Mike Tyson in his prime when he was storming his way towards the title. Yeah.
From Confidence, Joe Rogan and his guest Vinny Shoreman and 8-time kickboxing and Muay Thai world champion Liam Harrison, you can tell they themselves are left with a glint of doubt. Using Jon Jones as an example, watching an old Mike Tyson effortlessly enter on Jones, that was part of the argument that led to the confusion. With that said, let's actually take a closer glance at just that. Mike paused with a jab, then as Jon Jones paused his own, instantly Mike parries it. From there, catching the following slap, Mike follows it as Jon's hand trails back in. This is Mike entering against the recovery, ducking outside to meet the opening with a jab. He learned this technique from Cus D'Amato, where Cus surprises even Muhammad Ali with it.
I'm bouncing. Don't hit me, man. I'm out of shape, right? I'm a little out of shape. I'm jumping around. And for a minute, whatever, put your guard up. You're not going to be doing this in the ring. That's your position. That's right. But that's your position. And we are boxing. And for a minute, I'm doing the show. You're not as dumb as you look.
That's right. That's right.
After the jab, Mike leaves the space, dodging Jon Jones' uppercut. This time, as Mike enters, he feints the same technique, but instead, Mike's lead moves outside Jon's power hand. The jab was not aiming at the body this time, which put Mike at a different angle versus Jon Jones. From here, watch how Jon went to post against a head that never existed. Jon clutched only a phantom. Meanwhile, Mike Tyson's power hand is perfectly lined against the center line of Jon Jones. This would have hit chin, and Jon Jones knows this as well, which is why he almost seems embarrassed. He knows that if this old man threw a real punch then and there, it likely would have connected then and there. This glints insight into Jon's high and practical IQ as well. Clearly, he is very sane, lucid. He knew what was up. That said, it's like how you never forget how to ride a bike. The instincts Mike has spent so much of his life drilling are there, still, which is why they can be seen even when he's just playing around. Back to the original question though, how would Mike Tyson do versus kickboxers? Well, in a real altercation, one of the commentators on this video said it best. Buns Loco stated, "You put 1988 Mike Tyson in an alley with anybody, he's coming out." Let's entertain that for a bit. I would say the two most successful real-world disciplines are both boxing and wrestling, mostly because they are so simple and direct paired with the fact minimal warm-up is required. If you don't stretch and warm up, it's very easy to pull a muscle or fall off balance throwing a high kick if you aren't naturally flexible. Even then, kicks above the belt just aren't the best idea in jeans or work pants. If you're versing multiple opponents, being able to hit hard, run, manage distance is key. The last place you want to be is on the ground. You know, that's part of why they always say, keep it standing. We all intuitively know that if this was truly a real situation, you'd have friends jumping in. The last place you'd want to be is on the ground. A true 1 vs 1, wrestling, pretty much slamming anyone who does not expect it, is a game winner if it's not on grass. When you know how and have the proper leverage, you'd be surprised by how easy it is when someone thinks you want to bang.
It's almost better to just have wrestling and boxing in a street fight. You don't really want to kick
That's what
somebody.
Bruce Lee was preaching. In 1959, he said, a dude who's been wrestling and boxing for 1 year can beat a lifelong martial artist.
It's true.
Yeah.
This is why I would have to partially agree with Buns Loco. A boxer of Mike's caliber in the spur of the moment has a real advantage in real life. But what about a straight-up kickboxing match then? I don't know if I can agree past this point. Of course, Mark Hunt had a very successful kickboxing career due to his durability and power despite not being a big kicker. But Mike is different stylistically. One of the things you'll notice about a lot of kickboxers is that they stand very upright. There is not a lot of head movement. This is the same in both karate and taekwondo, Muay Thai. The most consistently successful head movement in this arena would have to be pulls. Why is this? Well, if you decide to slip, bob, and weave, if you fall into a predictable pattern of head movement, you might end up running your head into a shin or knee. You are actually making it easier as your head is moving closer and into the possibility of a knee or shin. Pulling a strike does not provide that same level of possibility. Now, Mike's style is heavily predicated on bobbing and weaving, keeping the guard against cheeks, but the side of head, especially if the foot accidentally ends up wrapping around brain stem, it can make Mike's style very vulnerable. That said, how do I believe Mike Tyson would do in a kickboxing match? I believe that question would be determined by the level of kickboxer in proportion to the level of preparation he's had for Mike's style. If he has never seen Mike Tyson fight before, just randomly Mike shows up with his opponent not knowing what to expect from him, I'm pretty sure there's a good chance Mike would win that fight from the sheer novelty of his style and his straight up power. His opponent, without the preparation needed to deal with him, would likely get touched, and getting touched by Mike has always been a big deal. Figuring him out partway through the fight might not be an option. But now, if you had the time to study him, that could change everything. Knowing where his head likes to be, his tendency of ducking so low, his rapid ability to do so, versus someone who's respected with both his shins and knees, that could instantly change the outcome, as Mike's own devastating speed may be used against him via dense bone. Weaving into a shin or knee increases the overall force of the collision. Nonetheless though, I'm sure these factors have been considered by these men, and even then, he's just a confusing question. Iron Mike is just an X factor, with some believing that the man in his prime would wipe the floor with anyone and everyone, even today. That's how fearsome his legacy was, how terrifying his legacy is, even today. Watching this ruthless monster wreak havoc, the confusion he instills is understandable. After all, it is a fair expression of the respect he's earned, wreaking havoc. To that end, let it be stated, it's a level of respect he's truly earned. Thank you, Mike Tyson, for this lesson. If you'd like to stay elevated, please subscribe and hit the notifications. Thank you if you did. It truly does up the channel. Thank you. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. It's good karma. And until next time, peace.